guys, what is up? This is WildHunter45, back from quite a while actually, and today I'm bringing you a computer video, specifically more on the components of a computer and what is the definition of a computer. So without further ado, here we go. So this is the computer. Right here is the motherboard, this whole platter, or this board that everything's sitting on, and that is what connects all the different components together. Under here, this right here is it's called a heatsink, which draws the heat away from the CPU, because when you're using a CPU, it tends to get a little hot, and this heatsink helps to get rid of it. And since it's not a perfect connection to metal, there's this stuff called thermal paste that people use, and it helps allow the transfer of heat from between this metal object and the heatsink. This little metal object, which I've been calling an object, is called a CPU, otherwise known as the Central Processing Unit. It sends and receives commands from all the other different components, which, as I said before, Central Processing Unit, it pretty much defines itself. This right here is called RAM, or Random Access Memory, and what it does is it allows, it supplies the CPU with the data required to, the data from the hard drive required to run different programs. So it draws it out and then brings it into, it turns it into a way so the CPU can read it, and the RAM sends questions to the CPU, and it sends questions to the CPU, and then the CPU responds back saying, do this, do this, do this, do this. Whenever you run a program, the program itself is stored on the hard drive, which the RAM takes off and puts it into its random access memory. It pretty much copies, in a way, it copies the program and puts it onto here temporarily, only the parts necessary to run the program at that moment, and then it takes and sends questions to the CPU, which in returns, the CPU sends answers back saying, do this, run this program, run this command, and so on and so forth. So like if you clicked a button on your computer, the button click would trigger something from the random access memory, and it would send a question to the CPU, and then it would go back to the random access memory, and it would say do this, and it would draw from the hard drive, which I don't actually have one right now. But actually, here, let me grab one. So this right here is this is a hard drive, and inside the hard drive there's this circular metal disc that's about that big around, and it spins around, and this arm inside, it reads it pretty much just like a CD would be read, except it reads via magnet. The hard drive itself is pretty simple, but it is a major component in the whole system. Just like a CPU is very important, and the RAM is very important. Another thing that is important in the system is the GPU, or graphics processing. This right here is actually integrated You have others that are physical. This one just so happens to be integrated into the motherboard. You have other cards. It looks similar to this right here, except usually it's longer, and it has a heatsink on it. So this right here is similar, but it's not quite. This is actually a modem for dial-up, believe it or not. Man, dial-up. That stuff is slow. But the graphics processing unit is what it actually acts as a version of the random access memory, and it sends and receives sends questions and receives data just like except the graphics card, or the GPU, doesn't have to be a graphics card, sends and receives questions about video instead of just commands for programs and stuff. So it sends questions to the CPU, and the CPU says, show this. And actually, the graphics card, you plug it into, you plug your monitor into the graphics card. Without that, you would not have any picture. So it's another majorly important thing on the computer itself. Actually, I'm going to take the CPU and pull it out here. That's what it looks like underneath. It's a bunch of pins, and then it just sits on this little platform right here, and you just drop it in and close the arm. This little piece right here would actually hook up. It would hook up to the hard drive here, and then it would sit in there, and it would read the data. And this actually is a power supply right in here, and believe it or not, it actually powers the computer. Whoa, quite amazing. This stuff over here, you're probably wondering what that is. These are all the different components on the side of the computer. This is all part of the motherboard. All this right here, except for that, except for this part. But all of this is part of the motherboard. This part right here, this is your, it's a VGA port which hooks up to your monitor, and this is what allows. It connects to the graphics GPU. But that's pretty much it. That's how a computer works. It is complex, the system itself, but if you think about it enough, then you'll see that it's not very much different than our brain itself. So yeah, but that is the basics on how a computer works and what the computer is made up of.